The joy of living in Bali, my friend.
It's not, the network is shit. So now I'm actually on my phone that time.
Alex, why don't you make me host and then I'll live stream it so it doesn't get interrupted.
So I make you host actually, not co-host.
Yeah, then I'll make you co-host.
All right, my friend. Smart man.
Okay. You are now the co-host, and I'll live stream this onto my Facebook page. Actually, that may not work, Alex. It says I do not have permission to live stream.
Recording in progress.
So you're going to have to stream it, not me.
Okay. Well, I've got the backup in the with my phone on right now, so in case. So how do I do that? I just highlight the three of us.
No, let me make you host again. But make me co-host, okay?
Yeah, so I make you co-host.
Okay.
Actually, I have.
So there's three little buttons that says more, and in there is stream live to Facebook.
Yeah. We're good for that. Oops. All right. We are recording, so wait. All right, I'll do some editing, I guess.
Well, I think, Alex, Steph will be joining us any moment. So why don't you start?
Do you want to start, or shall we just have a little introduction about breath in general and just honor her? Because as for me, I don't mind if we go a bit beyond the hour. So let's do an hour when she arrives, and maybe we can give a bit of an introduction on general. What is a breathwork facilitator training? Because the intention during this call tonight will be to speak specifically about what makes each of our trainings unique and different, so that if you're watching this and you're considering taking a facilitator training, then you get the options, you get to choose what feels right for you. So with that in mind, why don't trying to get everyone there and add spotlight. Here we go. Why don't we get you, Benedict, to give us a little bit of an introduction of what do you think is a facilitator training?
Gladly, Alex. Breathwork facilitator. I don't know about you, but I was searching for a purpose all my life, Alex. I wanted a bigger reason and a mission to do in my life. And I searched for, until I was in my early 40s to find it. And then when I found it, just like that, I knew that this would be what I would be doing for the rest of my life. But what was it about breathwork? Well, I'm sure, like many people watching this, if you're interested in breathwork, you've been on a path of wellness. You have been on an internal journey of growth and transformation. I had run a whole range of different things, from Buddhism to yoga to therapy, Reiki. If there is some training or some modality, well, I had tried it. And it wasn't until I discovered breathwork in Bali in 2014 that I got to the place that I'd always been looking for, that place of healing, growth, and transformation. And it wasn't difficult. I didn't have to sit on a mat for hours and hours on end. I didn't have to follow a special diet. I didn't have to chant some strange esoteric language. I got to that place within 5 breaths, and it was easy, and it was beautiful, and it was fun. And that is the philosophy that I like. Everyone has this idea that a spiritual journey or an internal journey has to be worthy. We have to strive for it. We have to work for it. I don't hold to that philosophy. Actually, it should just be fun. It should be easy. It should be as natural as taking a breath. And a breathwork facilitator is someone who holds that space for others to take that journey as well.
Wonderful. I could go on forever and just listen to you, my friend. I just love your flow and your vibration and your energy. And what I can tell you about facilitation, it's often people are attached to knowledge, to tools and techniques. And Ben, you're a teacher. You used to be a teacher. So before being a facilitator and space holder. And often we remember not what our favorite teachers have taught us, or his, but how they made us feel. And for me, that's really the most important about holding space and facilitating transformation of some kind. It's really having that ability to drop into your heart and operate from that space. And if someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer and you just say, I don't know, that's absolutely something that is fine and accepted by everyone, because the key is really just for people to feel safe. And even once they feel safe, then everything is ready. And with that beautiful word, look at you. Welcome, Steph.
Thank you. I'm in Portugal, and it's a pleasure to be logging in and joining you in this lovely chat about the breath.
Yes. So
Benedict is giggling at me because he knows the messages that have been going on behind the scenes.
Yes, we all are here, and guys, you are so professional. Look at your backgrounds and branded, and I'm so used to show off that I'm in the middle of the rice field during the day that you guys smartly schedule the call at 8 p.m. where I'm in my very boring office with absolutely no decoration whatsoever. So I really honor your professionalism there. All right, guys, let's dive right into it. We've got about an hour to spend together. Our intention is to expose you, share with you what is specific about our trainings. So my intention, as I reached out to Steph and Benedict to bring them together in one space, is to showcase what breathwork for me is all about. It's about community. It's about authentically caring about people's well-being, not trying to get as many students in our specific training. And I think we share that, the three of us. I don't know if you follow our posts, but every time someone is recommending a training, we always say, hey, I recommend this one and this one and this one, and also mine, but that's not the only one. And I really love that. Oops, I'm blurry. I really love that about these two guys. And I really thought that would be amazing if we could come in one space and just talk about what we do, but at the same time, so that if you are considering doing a facilitator training, then you get exposed to the specifics of those trainings. So the way it's going to go, Steph and Ben, we'll see who goes first in a minute. We'll start for 10 minutes talking about the specifics of their training, what makes their trainings unique. And my guideline for you guys is if we can skip the generalization about breathwork facilitation, so that we go into, again, for the audience who's wondering, okay, which training should I go for? Then I'm sure they will be able to get the most of it. So that's my intention. And so this way we'll have 30 minutes of each of us talking. And then after that, we'll have questions. Steph, we're also live on Facebook. If while Ben is speaking, you want to share it on your pages, that would be awesome. It's from the Breathing Cold Facebook page. After that, we'll take questions. So feel free to drop questions in the chat if you're on Zoom, or in comments if you are watching it live. And I'll do my best to catch it all. If internet and the gods of internet are with us, as I didn't have internet 2 minutes before the call, and I'm now on my phone. So hopefully all that will work. All right, so let's see between Ben and Steph who's going to go first by a very classic rock, paper, scissors competition. So All right, so on your own time, guys, get ready. Steph, look at Ben, and you go 1, 2, 3, go for it. Rock, paper. All right, all right.
Two
You say it.
scissors.
One of you has to say it.
1, 2, 3, go.
I tell you what, look, this could go on all day. Ben, I'm happy for you to go first while I try and navigate sharing from the Breathing Cold page. And Alex, for some reason, I'm not registered on that page. I thought I was. So could you let me in and then I can share it from there?
It's a public page. Breathing Cold, not Breathing Cold Bali.
Okay, I'll go find it. Over to you, Ben.
Okay, so my name is Benedict. I'm a breathwork facilitator, and I am the founder of Breathing Space School of Breathwork. I've got 10 minutes, so I really am going to cut to the chase. What makes the Breathing Space training very special? Well, first of all, we call it Breathwork Facilitator training, but really, it could just be facilitator training. In fact, it could be person training or leadership training, because when you train to be a breathwork facilitator, wow, it is so much more than just the breath. We can learn any breath technique in a few minutes, but to hold people in their deepest, most tender, most vulnerable spaces, to do that is almost like a superhuman ability. So I'm very proud that the Breathing Space Facilitator Training Program is a journey to help people step up into their true potential, to their leadership, to the person that they were always meant to be. And if you're like me, you know that inside you, there is a light that is waiting to shine. There is a song that is waiting to sing. There are some wings inside of you that are just waiting to spread and for you to fly. Well, I hope you will come and find me, and I will push you off a cliff. One of my little things is that I love to give people a little nudge now and again. My students sometimes hate me because I require people to step up. So that's the first thing I would say about the Breathing Space School of Breathwork. It is a training that goes beyond breathwork. We all have our breath, and this is all something that we have, but we have more than that as well. How do we do that? Well, that comes to the second of the things that I think make Breathing Space unique. You don't learn to be a breathwork facilitator. In fact, you don't learn to do anything by sitting at the back of a class and taking notes. If you just sit and watch a teacher on a pedestal at the front of a yoga room or a shala or even in the classroom, you're not going to get there. The only way to become a breathwork facilitator is by facilitating breathworks. So as part of our training, it is a practical requirement that you have to receive breathworks, you have to give one-on-one breathworks, and you have to lead 5 group breathworks, at least 5 group breathworks. But we don't just expect you to go out and do all of this by yourself. We have 5, shortly to become 6, online breathing spaces every week, and at least 1 workshop hosted by a breathing space teacher that every student can step up and lead in a really lovely, safe, supported environment. You get to practice what you are actually learning. And this is something that I'm really proud of, because it is in those spaces that you become a breathwork facilitator. So that is the second thing that I am really very, very proud about our training, is that we provide spaces where all members of the Breathing Space Facilitator community can step up and lead. And the third thing I wish to talk about, this is a breathwork facilitator training, but it doesn't end when you become a facilitator. Breathing Space is a community of the most astonishing individuals, and we have people with all interests in breathwork, people who are interested in the physical and the well-being aspects of breathwork, people who use breathwork for trauma or for emotional healing. We have breathworkers who are interested in the spiritual aspects of breathwork. We have breathworkers who are into songwriting and use it for creativity. So it's a broad church that we have. But this isn't just a training that you start and then you finish and then you are out the door. I've had enough trainings like that where it felt like I was on the factory line of production. So the teachers were interested in me coming in, doing the training, and then they were very soon on to the next training. I don't operate like that. The fact is, even when you qualify to be a breathwork facilitator, you still have so much more to learn. This is almost just like opening the door before you step through. So in Breathing Space, we have not just a second year of training, but we have a third year if you want to do it as well. And this isn't just about keeping an unequal power relationship going between student and teacher. You can progress through the Breathing Space Academy and become a mentor, and you assist on the next training. But after that, you would become a Breathing Space teacher, and you can take your own apprentices through the journey that you have. And this is a progression that I am so very proud of, that we can take people from complete beginning who have never breathed before. We can take them through that steps of discovering the power of the breath for themselves, to learning how to hold space for others. And then we can take them further to learn how to hold people on a longer journey of growth and development and reaching their potential and teaching other people how to be a breathwork facilitator. And that pathway I am really very, very proud of, because I feel like breathwork facilitation is an empowering experience. As facilitators, we empower our breathers to have the experience that they need, because everyone is their own wisest teacher and healer. And it's not up to me as a facilitator to prescribe what medicine the breath is going to give you. But we also believe that same applies to our facilitators. It is not up to us, for me, to tell you what kind of facilitator you should be. I do not want cookie cutter versions of me, because no one can do breath work like me. Possible versions of themselves. The final thing I wish to talk about, Alex, how many minutes do I have left? I've got 6 minutes left. Well, 4 minutes left. Wow, I am quicker than I thought. I thought I would be able to go on for ages. So then the next aspect of Breathing Space, which I also think is unique, is we offer something called an apprenticeship pathway. So most trainings, including, say, when we went to school, they have a particular start time and a finish time. And you start in a group and you have a teacher and you turn up somewhere. And it might be in a classroom, but it might be online. And our training lasts 10 months. Some other trainings last 6, 7, 8 months. By the way, if you're considering doing breathwork facilitator training, don't do anything that is less than a month long. If you are just in there for a weekend or just doing a correspondence class, I don't think you're going to get everything that you need from a breathwork. To be a true breathwork facilitator, it needs to be a deeper immersion from that. So most training courses are like that. You start in a group, you go for a particular length of time, and in the end you get your certificate. That's not what it's always been like. Actually, if you look at, say, the wisdom traditions, the way that you would learn is that you would go and sit at the foot of a teacher, a master or guru, and it could be several years, and you would just like absorb everything that they talk about, going on to all their teachings. And then at some point, the teacher would say, you're ready now. You go off and teach. As a breathwork teacher and having a breathwork school, and I'm sure Alex and Steph, you can relate to this, I get inquiries all the time for people who want to become facilitators. And it breaks my heart for many reasons when I say, well, I'm sorry, my training course is full, or my training course is in the middle of the night for you because you're in a different time zone, or my training is in the middle of the working day and I realize that you have got a job, or you've got kids, or you've got parents you've got to look after, or you've got other commitments that you cannot make that time where we need to be together. I've also got all these amazing teachers who've been through our academy, who've become teachers. They've gone through the facilitator training, they've gone through the mentor training, and they are now, well, I don't like to say this, but some of them may even be better than me. And so I've got all these amazing breathing space teachers. I've got a course, which is, well, I'm going to say it's great. And then I've got all these people who can't do the normal traditional style of learning. They can't turn up into a group at a particular time. So in Breathing Space, we have the Apprenticeship Pathway, which is the same course that you have in a group training. You have to meet all the same graduation requirements. It's the same online material, because most of our learning actually is online. We have pre-recorded videos, we have pre-recorded exercises, we have a huge, I don't know what you can call it, an online course, I suppose. Which means, by the way, when we do have our live sessions, they stop becoming me or the teacher kind of giving information, because no one learns like that. They become like a play space. Hold it up a bit higher, Alex. They become like a play space. And so we developed the Apprenticeship Pathway, which is the same course, but instead of meeting in a group once every 2 weeks, you meet with your mentor once a week, and you can do the same course in a totally different, totally supported one-on-one unique learning style. And that is something else I'm very proud of with Breathing Space. Thank you, Alex, for giving me that time to talk about what I'm truly passionate about. Should we just take a little breath together right now?
Thank you, Benedict, so much. And I don't know you, Steph, but I want to take that training. I feel like, you know, this is, and I would say before you go, Steph, that one of the best things about breathwork is you're constantly and forever a student. There is so much that we need to learn, and it's one of the true passion of the breath is that you know, Steph, you were sharing that you're doing a training on oxygen advantage, and I always come up. Now I came up, I'll share with you guys, there's this scientist who really found the place where what's going on an inhale or an exhale, different parts of the brain, you know, so it's not only something going on in the lungs, but we were specific parts of the brain that get activated, and it's fascinating, and the science is catching up of, you know, ancient wisdom that was always there. So really happy to have these opportunities. I'll let you go now, Steph, and I put the timer on and I mute myself.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Ben. I might not need 10 minutes. I'm just going to feel from my body, from my heart, what I actually want to express. And, you know, Ben started off with his usual poetry, and also I could really hear the teacher in you, Ben. And I think for all three of us, we've known each other increasingly over a period of time now. And what Ben ended on there about this passion for the breath is, it's become my life purpose. It's become my dharma. And why do I want to teach it? What do I want to bring into the world? It's always my starting point. And in actual fact, Ben pointed to some things in his training there about how it can be used. The breath can be used for so many things. It can be used to regulate our nervous systems. It's one of the few things that we have any control over in our autonomic nervous system. It can be used to downregulate anxiety and stress, to bring us back into balance. It can be used to access higher states of consciousness. For me, it is the meeting point of science and spirituality. And so I suppose for our training, what we focus on is, it's co-founded and co-taught by two 60-plus-year-old women who have a wealth of wisdom between us. I don't feel that age, but there are moments when I do. But actually, what has become evident to me as I've walked the path through my life, which has been one of coming into right relationship and being comfortable in my own body, being comfortable in my own system, healing trauma, and, you know, doing my own work. So they say that we teach what we need to learn, and that's certainly been true in my case, because I went into body work after psychotherapy, after somatic therapy, after dance and movement, and then into shamanism. And so our teaching really brings, both Ray and I, Dr. Ray, have a background in shamanic practice. Hers is from the South American traditions and mine from the North, and we do weave that into our course. And Alex just said something about how as breathwork trainers and teachers, but actually as human beings, we're constantly evolving. And the world will always serve us opportunities to become more present to our light, our dark, our shadow, our potential, and all shades in between. So I feel that when we enter into something like a breathwork training, we get the opportunity to really see all of that in the most distilled and potent way possible, because we can't expect to take other people where we can't go in ourselves. And it's said that we can only go as far as we have been. So every facilitator, as Ben said, has a different medicine to bring into the world. Well, those aren't the words he used, but a different, just being you, being uniquely you, finding what it is that you have to bring, getting rid of comparison, getting rid of less than or more than, and just shining your light as you are. And so when we do that as the trainers in our teaching, we're going to, by nature, inspire other people to do that as well. And when we walk our talk and when we hold our hands up and we're honest about where our edges are and what's being activated while still holding leadership, then we can marry the wisdom of gaining knowledge through our advancing attention to our inner work, or through age, or through whatever else brings us that wisdom. I see very many young, wise people as well. But we can marry that with our capacity to actually be vulnerable. And I see vulnerability as a superpower and a great strength that we can have. But we don't want to be leaking that everywhere into other people's spaces, into other people's process, particularly as facilitators. So our training focuses on what it is to hold safe space for people, to enter into trauma release, to enter into rebirthing, to enter into reprogramming, releasing all those old. If we are asking a safe container. So the training that we have has a great deal of focus on ethics, boundaries, and consent. It has a focus on the development of trauma, psychological and developmental trauma. So what we move through in the stages of growth, which parts of the brain are affected by the things that we move through, which parts might shut down if we are in hyper or hypoarousal states. And Dr. Ray is a doctor of chiropractic and functional medicine, and she sometimes guests on Ben's training. As I have done, and I sometimes guest on Alex's training, and this is the beauty of the cross-pollination that we offer. But she brings her knowledge of chiropractic and functional medicine into the training, so we have a great deal of focus on the anatomy and physiology of the breath, and increasingly on the science of the breath, because typically people want to know what's happening. What is happening in me when I breathe this way? Why do I have these transcendent experiences? Although that's not what we're seeking, it can be a byproduct of what we experience. And also people want to know, well, I want to know what is happening so that when I'm holding space for breathers, and like Benedict, we have a certain structure in place with the training where you have to complete a certain number of case studies, one-on-one and group studies, where you get to lead breath work. There's many things that we will all share in common, both Alex, Ben, and myself in our training. And there's many opportunities. I think for me, Ben's strength is certainly in that teaching platform and the wider extended community. And I think Alex's strength for me, as I see it and perceive it, is the number of things that you bring in about presence and authentic relating and all other aspects of what it is to be human. Because ultimately, my driving force and my sense of purpose is connection, presence, intimacy, and love, and how we come back to those places in ourselves, how we find the parts of ourselves that are resistant to opening up, to being fully and authentically ourselves. So just backtracking slightly, the training operates over 7 months and culminates in a 1-week residential where we all get together, and there is nothing like those residential experiences to really solidify and bring together, to make coherent all the learning that we've had. And so I think for us, the most important focus at Integrative Breath is connection, presence, coherence, and then balancing that with the science, with the ethics of the practice, looking at power dynamics in practice. Ben talked about the guru and the teacher. And although we are teachers, of course, and leadership is important, very important, we're also not wanting to take a position of being holier than thou. And so we're bringing people into these places where we can all step into our leadership. And leadership requires knowledge and learning. And the more well, the older I get, the more I value kind of learning that doesn't come from a desire to feel like now I'm enough because I know enough, but actually it's coming from the synthesis of the information that I've received in my journey through life. And I'm constantly talking with people about the nervous system, neural pathways. I'm constantly wanting to learn more about how, as human beings, we relate in this world. And so, of course, that permeates the training, because the trainings that all three of us offer are infused with the essence of who we are. So I welcome any inquiries. It's, as I said, 7 months online with a 1 week in-person graduation. Of course, what's happened in the world at a global level has changed the way that many of us have to work. But like Ben, I think really it's not possible to do a breathwork facilitation training in a week, not even 4 weeks, really, because for me, yeah, Ben's nodding enthusiastically. For me, this is a process of integration. And everything that comes up along the way requires time and space to be felt and to be known. And we base our training in a book called The Presence Process, which is very shamanic in itself, but we work through that as we're doing the training so that we can come to be accountable for our own stuff, so that we stop projecting it out at others, which is in fact simply a trauma response of creating safety. If I make somebody else responsible for what I'm feeling and for how I'm feeling in this moment, I don't have to feel it, and then I can stay safe. But really coming into wisdom is being able to step beyond those kind of limitations. So we welcome inquiries. We're just about to launch our next cycle, as are Ben and Alex, which starts next Tuesday. That one is currently full. There may be one space available. And then we have the next cycle starting in April 2022. Please reach out and find us. I know that Alex has shared the links to our websites, and yeah, really good to be here and good to share with you. That's me. I'm done.
Hey, you're the master of time. Look at you. Man, that's time management.
Call on the spirits and say, hey.
Pretty impressive.
I wasn't looking at a clock, honestly.
I know. Very impressive.
Thank you for the space.
So thank you so much, Steph. And just to bring it back, guys, we're just doing a conversation, giving options for people interested and keen in choosing a breathwork facilitation program, giving some perspective. You know, at the end of the day, what I feel listening to each of you is that the way people will, I feel, let's see, but what I feel people will choose is who they resonate with at an energetic level, beyond the words, beyond the content. We're kind of having different version of, you know, teaching you fundamentals, whether it's the science of basics of creating safety. But at the end of the day, it's for you to choose who do I feel that I resonate with. And of course, you've got this call, but I should actually put the timer on. Sorry, guys. But you should also look at our offerings, what is out there, and then that's a good start. So with that and the timer being on, I'll give it a little bit overview of my offering. So it's BreathingColdBali. The training is online and offline, so I'll have people with me around in Bali, and we will be 3 weeks. It's a 3 weeks intensive in-person and online training, and then we all move online for another 5.5 months, with the intention for people to facilitate 40 sessions before they get their certification, and with the intention ideally to do it within the time frame of the 6 months. So with that, it kind of creates a little bit of a gentle pressure, but people don't necessarily join because they want to facilitate. I'm sure it's the same for you guys. It's also something that people do when they are on their healing journey and they feel that being in some kind of an intensive program could help. Now, one thing that is, I believe, a little bit different from Steph and Benedict is I add ice baths as a protocol, which is a big part of my practice that I love. So we've got breathwork, ice baths, and authentic relating. I find that breathwork And ice baths are great ways to get people to connect with themselves. And I call it sometimes forced mindfulness. Like, I don't really care where you're at. The breath and the ice will just get you to that place, which I love because I suck at meditation. I really struggle to do nothing. And I find that it's so easy to breathe, so easy to get in an ice bath because I'm doing something. So that's much easier. But you get to the same place. So I find that easy. And often I call it, sorry guys, but I call breathwork meditation for dummies. I'm one of them. Find it's a little bit of a shortcut, but you know, so that's, but I find that adding the aspect of authentic relating where people get to heal in groups, heal in community is really interesting. So we explore tools, techniques, games, so things around circling or inquiry, which I'm sure is also done in a similar, with some variations in your guys' trainings. But I really love the combination of those three protocols. Another thing that is specific is I don't push one specific method. I expose people to all the breath has to offer, because as Ben said as an introduction, for me, the best thing about the breath is it's a tool for me to express myself. I figured out who I was, or I'm figuring out who I'm not and who I am through the breath, through exploring different modalities. So you will have sessions of rebirthing, holotropic breath work, free diving. And I find that as we go, we kind of craft something that we can all, each of us, put together as our own specific methodology. So that's a little bit about the methods. I bring a lot of speakers, experts, my friends, people that I love connecting with, that I love get you to connect with. And together we co-create. And I also love that part where each person is really welcome to bring themselves 100%. As also Steph shared, and I think it's the same for all of us in that field, I don't consider myself anywhere superior to any of the students. We all co-create, bringing our authenticity and vulnerability there, which means it makes it a very safe space to say, I don't resonate with that, that doesn't sound right, Alex, you're projecting here. And I really welcome that all through the training, which makes it tough for me, but it's a really growth space for myself and for everyone. I, similarly to Steph and Benedict, I love community. I really believe in it. So the graduates form a strong community. We breathe every week. We share knowledge and content, and hey, can I get some feedback on my website and things like that. So we have a lot of that going on every week in the chat. And so that's a little bit what this is all about. And I'm halfway there, 5 minutes. So I think that gives you an idea about it. The ice is optional, but it's really amazing. And people, whatever their relation with the ice is, usually they fall in love with the ice. The ice, like, you know, Wim Hof, who I train with. I'm not a certified trainer in the Wim Hof method, but I love him dearly. Ice becomes your mentor, your guru, your master, your educator. And I really do love the ice for that, because whatever is going on, the ice meets me where I am. And I love that about it. I have 2 ice baths at home, 1 cold bath, 1 ice bath. And we are going to do that. And if people are doing it at home, we guide them online safely. Oops, the Zoom is struggling a little bit. I'm getting out of focus from time to time, guys. Apologize for that. And yeah, that's what it's all about. And I think with that, I will close. So what are we going to do now? Let's take a few breaths together. I need that. I'm going to ask Benedict and Steph to unmute, and we'll be able to take questions if any question is coming online. So you can post your question on the Facebook Live that I'm monitoring, or in the Zoom. And maybe circling back to Ben, as we started with you, just wonder if anything came up that you wish you had said, or you would like to add anything to your talk.
What do I wish to respond here? I think, first of all, I just want to recognize how lovely it is to be in the room with you both and to hear you speak from your heart and your passion. One thing that I'm really proud of in the breathwork facilitator community is how supportive and collaborative it is. And this is an example of that, how we are not in competition with each other, how we don't want to, we're not afraid of each other, and we're not trying to like just big up our own brand. We're all interested in the same path of bringing breathwork out into the world. And whether that's with Breathing Cold, whether it's with Steph and her shamanic and trauma-informed and oxygen advantage-informed training, or whether it's me, it doesn't matter. We're all here for the same reason. And this kind of community is rare, but we as leaders have to model what it looks like. We have to show people, actually, it is way better and way nicer than when everyone gets on and works together to make this happen. So I, first of all, just want to say what a real privilege, what an honor, and how exciting it is to be in this space with you both, talking about what we're all passionate about.
Thank you, Benedict. Fully agree, fully aligned. And I often say, when people ask me what I got from doing this work, and I say, I got better friends. And I really value the quality of the people that come into my life, and specifically the breathwork facilitators, whether they are joining the training first as students and then as become friends. I'm sure it's the same in your trainings, or people that we meet along the way. And that's, for me, really that's the best. And we know now, the science is clear on longevity, that the key of longevity is to nourish social connection and share what's going on and open our hearts and feel safe in our bodies and all these things. And really, I feel that, we are all in each in our own way, but we offer the same thing. It's really tools for longevity. You want to, in all the books of yoga, they say that you're born with a set number of breath. That's how it's there. It's up to you how long you're going to live. Just be mindful of your breath. I wonder if, Steph, anything came up for you that you'd like to bounce back on?
No, not particularly, actually. I think the main thing that I just want to add is that for many people, I think, especially if you're people who are listening who are relatively new to breathwork, I often hear people saying, well, it's just breath. What can be so special about just breathing? Surely that's what we all do. Now, before I came to breathwork, I used to work ran my own juice bars and clean food cafes. And so I do juice detoxes, and people used to say, well, you've got liver and kidneys for that. Why do you need to detox? And it's like, well, give them a break, let your body receive nutrients and proteins and cleanse and let things out. And it's similar with breathing. Yes, we all breathe, but we don't all breathe well. We don't all breathe in the way that we're supposed to. So I think really it's just to emphasize how much the breath can bring to us, how profoundly powerful it can be in actually helping us come back into the truth of who we are, because of the capacity it has to either simply regulate the system or open us into expanded states of consciousness and awareness that can return us to the truth of who we are, which is innocent, pure, and whole. So I think it's just that, really, to say, and I agree, and I want to reiterate how wonderful it is to be here with you both. And I know that there are other facilitators watching, because there's a couple of comments on my Facebook page in the live, and it is out there who have. So just feel people's energy, feel people's integrity, feel people's spirit and soul when you communicate and when you connect, and then follow that, make inquiry, tune in. Is this landing in my body? Does it excite me? Does it ignite me? What's happening? Because we'll all have different places and people that we resonate with. But thank you both for being here.
So one question for you guys, like, imagine you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's watching and contemplating doing a facilitator training. What would be, how could you help them? What would be the criteria? What should they look into whether it's our trainings or other trainings out there. But I wonder how you would choose your facilitator training if you were to choose it now. I think that could be useful. Benedict, do you want to go first?
Sure. And I think this is something that we've all said in our own little talks, and Steph just mentioned again, you really have to go with your heart. You have to find a teacher who you connect with, and you will know. You know, we all teach that we are all have everything that we need inside ourselves. We all have that wisdom. As a teacher, all we are doing is just giving people the tools to let that out. And every person, when they are seeking to become a breathwork facilitator, knows at some level who they want to train with and who their right teacher is. That doesn't mean, you know, I just suggest you jump into the training course with the first person who who helps you have an amazing experience. I was going to say jump into bed with, but you know, we've all got very strict ethics around that, because you know that is one of the ways that, as Steph mentioned, about the boundaries. So I also encourage people to do their due diligence. You know, research other schools. You know, read their course perspectives. The Global Professional Breathwork Alliance is a really good place to start as well, which has got a big directory of different breathwork schools. Not just because if you're not in there, that doesn't mean that you are not a good breathwork facilitator, but always it will become, as Steph said, to that personal connection. When you feel safe, when you feel lit up by a teacher, you will know that is the one that you need to train with. And I will also say, a teacher and a school can only bring so much. It's not a given rule, but generally, the more you as a student and a trainee put into a course, the more you commit, the more you give, the more you will receive. And I know this from my own training. The students who like really take suck every last piece of like nourishment and juice from the course, they are the ones who get the most from it. And I'm sure it's the same. You know, there are some students who just turn up and, you know, expect that they are going to like magically transfer. It doesn't work like that. Breathwork facilitator training is a path. And the deeper you walk on that path, not just the speed which you go through it, the more you explore it, you look around, you savor it, you enjoy it. That is what's going to make you a good breathwork facilitator.
Benedict. Steph, is there anything you want to add to that?
I like it when Ben gets his serious face on. It's like at the end of that is what makes you a good breathwork facilitator. Strong face. Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of feel that we all, in some ways, get the teachings we require. You know, as I've moved through life, I've worked with great teachers, I've worked with less great teachers. Have I always received something? Yes. Would I do things differently? Not particularly, no. But I think, as Ben said, it's about due diligence. You know, we have made incredible connections and friendships through breathwork and through the breathwork community at large. I mean, Alex, we didn't know you, and Ben and I knew each other from our training, but we didn't know you. And there are other people I've made deep and lasting connections with. And I think, you know, the important thing to state is that we as facilitators and or teachers, we're obviously we're here to teach people the tools of breathwork, but with our clients, we're not here to fix people. We're not here to heal people. We're not here to offer kinds of healing that haven't been consented to. We are here to teach the fundamentals of breathwork practice and how that can serve people in opening up their own wisdom, opening up to their own healing, and being able to see what is already in there and what their capacity is. Because I think when we come in thinking that we're the one that is doing through our practice, then the ego gets involved. And, you know, I'm sure it has for all of us. It certainly did for me. I used to think that unless I had a whole room going off into massive process, then I hadn't been successful in, you know, kind of getting people in their stuff. And it was very humbling to realize that sometimes somebody who's lying very still and seemingly not doing very much at all on the surface has an equally profound experience. And the more I work with the breath and the more I grow, the more I see that always the intelligence is in the breath, and that we are simply holding the space for people to be able to meet the breath and meet themselves. So tuning into what you feel when you know, have a book yourself a discovery call with all of these teachers. All of us offer them, and I'm sure many other schools do. And if it feels like somebody is just not giving you that opportunity or that time to be heard, ask yourself, is that what you want? How we do one thing is how we do everything. And so really you want to be met, heard and seen, and at the same time not overindulged. So it's finding the balance really, isn't it? And trusting yourself.
Interesting what you just said, and I will tell you how I do it, and I'm curious for you to react. For me, it's almost a two-way conversation. Like I'm going to be selective of who I want to work with. I wasn't in the past. I was says, oh, okay, there is, eagerness to feel the training, and it's not cheap training, so there is, the financial impact of. But then I end up, being for 6 months with someone that you don't really want to work with, and then you realize it. So for now, I know that it's almost a two-way selection process where I'm feeling, is that the right are we the right fit? And then I will happily recommend another training if I know that this is not aligned, whether it's energetically or if the person wants something specific that I know I will not be able to offer. I think I'm frozen there. You hear me, guys, or am I frozen?
No, yeah, you're good. You're good.
You're good. Okay. So I wonder if you guys have the similar approach, or if you maybe we don't verbalize it, but somehow are you doing the same?
Well, I think for me, I think a screening process is important because of the depths that we are taking people to and going to ourselves. We have to be able to hold ourselves within that. We have to have done an amount of personal growth work and personal development work before coming into a training like this, because otherwise that's also irresponsible on our part, because we can be catalyzing somebody else's trauma through the experience of the training if people haven't done enough work. So that's, I suppose, where our bottom line would be, rather than, obviously, we'll all resonate more with some styles of the learning that come into the session, and some students will require more support than others, and some students we may not personally resonate with as much as others, because that's life, and it would be dishonest to say that that wasn't the case. But also every student brings their unique persona, and my shamanic teacher always teaches, in our circles, every single person brings the medicine that is needed in that group, even if it's the one who activates and triggers by constantly asking questions and not listening to the answers. There is medicine in all of this. How am I going to deal with this as a leader, as a teacher, as a group? Are we going to start talking about those people behind their back with forked tongue, or do we stay in integrity and go, what's activated in me in response to this? So I think always we have the opportunity. But yes, there's a very valid point there for me that I might know on some practical levels, and this came up in our preparation for this, somebody in the Australia time zone wants to do a breathwork training and we don't run one at the moment, so I'm going to send them to Ben, or I'm going to send them to you, and vice versa. So there are practical considerations. Then there are energetic and emotional. Somebody wants more of the cold therapy, which we don't include in our training. So, okay, yeah, obviously it makes sense. Let's send them to Alex, or, there's so many schools of breath work out there. And the more that we know about each other's trainings and what those schools offer, the more we can actually make recommendations that are in service to people, rather than grasping at having more students on the training, because then there's more revenue. And that's not really the way that we want to look at things.
All right, guys, I think it's I don't see any questions, so I think we gave you guys quite a bit of an overview of who we are, so you could hear us, see us together. I think it's wonderful to be able to be together in that space, and as you heard, we're all available to answer your questions. I think we should have those conversations regularly. I see Ben's opening his mouth. I wonder if you've got, Benedict, something you want to say?
Yeah, I want to ask a question, actually. This is an invitation, actually. And is it okay if I ask a difficult question?
Well, you've got 6 minutes to.
Oh, I'm going to save that question. I'm going to save that difficult question.
Go ahead. I think you can't do that. You can't tease. You can't tease and just run away. Come on.
I can tease.
Go ahead.
I can. Um, all right. So one of the things I live in, currently live in North America, and one of the things that I notice looking around the room now, we are all white. You know, for me, I'll say I'm also middle class and middle aged. I've got so much privilege hanging around in my backpack that, you know, I'm very weighed down by, and I'm very, very conscious, and I'm very, very aware of it. And Steph, particularly, I wanted to give you an opportunity to just talk about. You come from a shamanic background, and I think I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about how your training maybe honors this this lineage rather than appropriating it. Because for me, this is to be in integrity. I think this is a really important, and will be bigger, more important as we go forward, actually. So I think if there is anyone here who has concerns around some of the language that is used around things like shamanic practices, I think I wanted to give you an opportunity to just talk a little bit about that. And Alex, if you want to talk about the privilege of being white and European in Bali, which is also a position of incredible power and privilege, how you honor that and where you are. Difficult questions, but I think this is a space where it is important to honor those difficult questions.
Ben, I'm aware that we agreed to an hour, and so we've got 4 minutes to answer a difficult question. So I'm going to try and be as succinct as possible in that. Many people come into the training. We're very clear that we are not teaching shamanism. I bring in shamanic practices because as part of what I have been taught by my teacher, who's been taught and given permission from the elders that he worked with to take certain aspects of that teaching out into the world, and not given permission for other parts. And therefore, I always check in with him. Am I okay to bring this in? Am I okay to include this movement practice? It's very honoring. For the events that I run that are private events, I tie the percentage of that over to the cultures and the people from whom those practices come. I don't teach people how to be shamans. I don't even like using the word myself. Shamanism for me is about walking in beauty and walking our way home. And once we bring into conscious awareness what we are using and taking, and we give back and we honor and we reciprocate, then things can stay in balance. And it's a difficult question that needs answering. I haven't got any more than, we haven't got enough time to really dig into that, but that would be my immediate answer. We are walking ourselves home. We're walking the beauty way. And that's the path of integrity and right alignment and right action in right relationship with nature. So that's how I bring the shamanism into my training.
Thank you, Steph.
Beautiful.
Thank you for asking.
Okay, I'll say a few words. And Steph, we started a bit late, so if we need a few minutes, let's. I'm in no rush. So very good question. I'll share my perspective. So I actually come from an environmental background, and that's the reason I came through the breath is related to it. So I started a community called Be Greener. It's all people who care about the destination here in Bali and also wider in Indonesia. And we gather, we support each other, we support the community. One of our members started a program called Plastic Exchange, and he's nominated as CNN Hero of the Year. Very proud of him, Indonesian gentleman called Janur, vote for him. And we started many initiatives. I started Refill My Bottle, showing you where you can refill your water bottle around the world. The Bali Pledge, and also the Travel Pledge, saying that the key is to set an intention wherever you travel. So my approach has always been trying to see how can I have the biggest impact and what can I do to have an impact. And I was always frustrated with all those actions and realized that the key to positive impact in the world is connection to self. So that's how I got into the breath, and I really dive into the breath, because I feel that once you have that connection to self, then connection to others become natural. It comes from your true voice. And whether it's connection to Mother Earth, your kids, your partner, or your people that you walk in the street, it's a similar approach of connection. So, and for me now, I have much more impact than with anything that I've done, no matter, we are in 60 countries with Refill My Bottle, At the end of the day, I feel that I have more impact now with each person that I can interact with, just because for that moment that we are together, whether it's an hour chat or 4 hours or 6 months training. On the other side, if I get them to be closer to their true self, outside the stories that they've been telling themselves about themselves, then I feel we're getting closer to the solution. So that's my take on the impact and local communities. And I agree with you on the fact that yes, we are privileged, but I don't have an issue with it. I don't even think about it, to be honest. I'm just doing my thing, and I'm not judgmental of anyone, but I'm also not feeling ashamed or shy about it. It's I see my kids, they're raised in local school here, and I cannot pronounce the name of their friends because they all come from all over the world. And there is a soccer team, and they're boys and girls together, and the classroom is all age together. So all those concepts of race, of age, of gender is not part of their reality. It's also part of a construct that, so that's a little bit my take, where your question came almost as a surprise. And because it's not something that is part of anything that I have a concern about. And I see though the message of Steph. So hope this, guys, was useful to you. Let's get one sentence to close, or a few words to close for each of you. And if you can also name your social media links on your website, that can be useful for everyone. Let's start with Benedict.
I'm going to just repeat something that Steph said earlier. Our breath is the key to everything. It is our own wisest teacher, our own greatest healer. And if anything comes from this hour that we have spent together, and for me, it is an hour with some very great friends and colleagues and teachers. It is just this amazing energy of the breath that connects us with each other and our own wisest, deepest selves. And I hope everyone just discovers a little more intimacy and a little bit more closeness with our own breath. Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Steph.
And to find you?
Find me. You can look up there, makesomebreathingspace.com. Anything with Make Some Breathing Space is me. I'll pop it in the chat.
All right.
Thank you, Alex.
And I saw, Steph, you put things in the chat. Put it also in the Facebook post, so it's going to stay there, so people can go back to the post and see all your links, guys. Steph, last words.
Just to express gratitude, really. I think sometimes we have too many words, and I'm just grateful for the breath. I'm grateful for these connections. I'm grateful for the community, and yeah, thank you for organising and making this suggestion, Alex, and thank you, Ben, for being here. May we have many more.
Yes, and same for me. I really love those conversations. I absolutely love them. Every time I get to connect with a facilitator or someone who's some kind of a, let's say, call it light worker, sound healer, or whatever, it's always wonderful moments of truth and connection. And I do feel that that's really what this is all about, and that's what we need in this time where there is a wave of mental disorder that is coming, this crazy tsunami that is coming all around the world. So we need, whatever school you choose, whatever approach you take, just the idea of supporting others, because a lot of people will need help in the coming years. And I feel that what we offer is one of the solutions out there. So with that, thank you. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Sending you love. Goodbye, everyone. Let's take 3 breaths together, shall we? All right, unmute and we close with that. Everyone, inhale. Open your mouth and let it out. One more time. Inhale. And out. And one last time. Full in. All right, everyone. Goodbye. And with that, I close. See you.